everybody out there in YouTube land. My name's Shard. Welcome to episode 21 of 1 Foot of Books. Yes, I've had a bit of a break. Lots going on in the old Shard world. Had school holidays. I've got a daughter, so that means holidays for her and other stuff for parents. Yeah, we ended up going on a road trip and around kind of central tablelands, New South Wales. Tablelands, even called tablelands. Anyway, out there. Went down to the mountains, went to the snow, or what was left of it. And we went up to a place called Dubbo, which has an awesome zoo. If you haven't been there, if you're from overseas and you're looking for something to do, if you ever come to New South Wales, Dubbo Zoo, really cool. And just, yeah, if you go for a road trip, this is a massive country. I'm from New Zealand, like, you know, everything's a few hours away, but here is just like, drive a few hours that way, you're in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by not much. So yeah, road trip, working, just took a little break from YouTube, collect my thoughts. I wanted to go maybe try some different ideas, but man, just lots going on, and not many ideas forthcoming that I want to explore yet. But I will, like, you know, they say that no one cares about your first 100 videos, so I'll get to 100 doing this and other stuff and see what sticks, like a monkey throwing its proverbial poop at the walls. Anyway, episode 21, 1 Foot of Books. My book buying has kind of gone a bit more sedate. I'm not kind of going crazy anymore. Mainly that's because I'm just like tie-ho, as they say. I'm trying to read what I've got, which is harder than it is generally, isn't it? Yeah. And just, yeah, I haven't found, honestly, I haven't found too much that's really kind of like, ooh, I'll buy that, I'll buy that, I'll buy that. 10 books later, you know, those days are kind of few and far between, I've found. But they'll come again. They'll come again. So let's have a look at this, this stack here today. At the top, we have the portable Machiavelli. It is a Penguin edition. I think it's from the 80s. It's got a slightly ripped cover. It's still in really good condition. 1985, originally published in 1979. I haven't read any Machiavelli. It's got all his good stuff in there. It's got the prints. That's all people worry about, isn't it? The Mandrake Root. And some selections from the Art of War for some reason. Yeah. Anyway, I'll dip into it eventually. It's kind of like, it's Machiavelli and Nietzsche kind of sitting on my shelf kind of constantly. Whenever I see the books, I'm just like, hey, read me. I just haven't got around to it. I've dipped in and out of Nietzsche over the years. Nietzsche. More or less. I've dipped in and out of him over the years. I haven't read any of his books all the way through. I've got a copy of Thus Spoke Zarathustra sitting on the shelf, and some other stuff as well I really should read. But anyway, the portable Machiavelli, I got that for $1. I think it was from the Salvos in Springwood, up here in the Blue Mountains. Sorry, my coffee table's a bit disgusting, as is the rest of my house after what happens after school holidays. You don't get a chance to do anything. Like clean. Look after yourself. I got this from the Vinnies in Springwood. Godard on Godard. Critical Writings by Jean-Luc Godard. Jean-Luc Godard, I've seen a few of his films. Watched Breathless at university. Really good movie. One movie that I've seen of his that I love, it's probably in my top 10, is Weekend. You guys haven't seen Weekend? Do yourself a favor. It is a fantastic French New Wave film from the late 60s. It's kind of weird, funny, post-apocalyptic kind of thing. I would highly recommend Weekend to anyone. So Jean-Luc Godard, he directed a bunch of films, he did a bunch of TV, and he wrote a bunch of stuff, film criticism stuff. And so this one's got like some essays from him. It's got interviews with him. It's got heaps of cool photos from his movies. This is a Da Capo Press edition. I got it for no price on it. I think it was only a couple of bucks. There was a bunch of like film books at the Vinnies that time, and I got a few. 1986. This one was originally published back in 1972, but with a new foreword, and published in 1986. Godard on Godard. Richard Braughtigan. I got turned on to Richard Braughtigan through the Father John Misty song. I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, one of his songs, he talks about trout fishing in America. And I'd never read Trout Fishing in America. And I kind of put it on my list. And then one time at the Salvos in Marrickville, I found a copy of Trout Fishing in America. I got it and I read it and I really liked it. And so I've always kept an eye out for his stuff. And this has got Trout Fishing in America in it as well as the Pill versus the Springhill mine disaster and In Watermelon Sugar. I've already got a copy of Trout Fishing in America and In Watermelon Sugar and a few of his other books of short stories. I have not dipped into this one yet. I got this at the Salvos in Springwood. Again, I think it was only a couple of bucks. Cool collection, nice photo on the cover. Richard Braughtigan was not really a nice man, hopeless alcoholic, kind of was abusive towards his partners. And there's no excuse, but he was a really good writer, and he wrote some cool stuff, man. Yeah, what do you do? Separate the art from the artist. Like, yeah, I don't know. That's a topic for another video, maybe, or it's already been covered by a lot more knowledgeable people than me on YouTube. So yeah, Richard Braughtigan. Stickers on the desk. Stickers on the coffee table. The Way of the Superior Man. David Deida. Deida, am I saying that right? I got this. I'm an unabashed fan of self-help stuff. But I'm very selective in what I buy. There's a lot of self-help out there, and a lot of it parroting the same ideas. This one spoke to me, Way of the Superior Man, a spiritual guide to mastering the challenges of woman, work, and sexual desire. And I'm like, hey, I need help in at least two of those things. So why not have a crack? And to be honest, I got it, and I was like, yeah, I'll give this a look. And I don't know, it didn't really speak to me. So if anyone wants a copy of this, I got it for $4, but I'll give it away for free. I'll even pay postage. If you want this copy, I'll send it to you if you so desire. If you're keen for a copy of The Way of the Superior Man, I'm not going to read it. I'm just going to probably end up taking it back to the shop. But if anyone wants it, 20th anniversary edition, let me know in the comments. Send me a message. I'll send it to you, man. All good. All good. No worries. Kate Grenville. She's one of the beloved Australian writers of all time. Wrote a book called The Secret River, and a bunch of other stuff. And she also wrote a writing book, a workbook for fiction writers. Like any writer, I've not read this book. And it's sat on my bedroom stack for ages. I think I kind of picked it up here and there. And like, no, I haven't read this book yet. I will read this book. I want to read this book. Kate Grenville's a great writer. And I do like reading books about writing. I just haven't read this one. $2 from the Vinnies at Springwood, up here in the Blue Mountains. Yes, the writing book. These next three I found at the Salvos in Springwood. I've been kind of playing chess on and off with my daughter. I don't know much about the game. I learned really young what all the pieces could do, how they could move, but apart from that, in terms of strategy, playing with people that were better than me and not getting upset when I lost, is a whole nother thing. Because, you know, you're a kid, you're playing chess, someone comes along, beats your ass. What are you going to do? You're going to take it on the nose and go, hey, maybe I could learn from this person. Or you just go, meh, I suck. And you move on to something else. And you kind of internalize that voice and you just keep thinking you're sucking for the rest of your life. And the ripples just spread out over the rest of your life, which is something that we should really address as a species. Yeah, it's okay to lose. You learn from losing. You learn from playing and being with people that are better than you at other stuff. There's simple facts. I play guitar. I teach kids, and one thing I tell them is, dude, like, if you ever end up playing with people that are better than you, count yourself lucky, because you don't want to be the best in the room, because you're going to get bored. Anyway, that's musings for another time. These are chess strategy books. So the Batsford Guide to Chess Openings, which is just a bunch of how to open and different chess strategies and stuff like that. And even someone even put a clipping in here from the Weekend Australian, May 7th to 8th, 2005. It's a newspaper chess game. I don't know if they still do those. So yeah, I'll dip into these every once in a while. Combinations, the heart of chess. Irving Chernev. I am Irving Chernev, and I will beat you at chess. And Dr. Max Euwe and David Hooper, a guide to chess endings. So I've got a guide to chess openings, a guide to chess endings, and a guide to combinations. Chess is, what a game, mate. What a game. You know, an afternoon to learn, a lifetime to master. These were just 3 of the books that I got from the salvos that were about chess that day. There was a few others, and I was just like, no, I don't want to buy them all. So I just got 3, and they were $1 each. The 50 Greatest Movies Never Made by Chris Gore, who edited a great film magazine back in the 90s that was kind of like my Bible, in that I was limited in my possession of and understanding of it. What was it? Film Threat. Yeah, where I grew up in New Zealand, I didn't have much access to Film Threat. I had to go to the city and find second-hand copies very occasionally. But it was kind of like this holy grail of film magazine back in the day, in the 90s. I devoured things like Empire and Neon, and there was another one that I really liked, but it wasn't around for that long. But yeah, anyway, Film Threat. And Chris Gore was the editor of Film Threat. He's quite present on YouTube these days. And this is basically just a rundown of the 50 greatest movies never made. It's like Heart of Darkness, Foundation, but that's been made into a TV show now. The Elmo Aardvark story, The Blind Man, Bike of Heaven, A Trip to Mars. There's a bunch of movies that were never made that have kind of gotten legendary status. Stuck in development hell. Blacklist, as it would say. Is it called The Blacklist? I don't know. Got that at Salvo's Springwood. I found this on my road trip. I got this at the Salvos in Cowra, of all places. This is Captain Bully Hayes, Blackbirder and Bigamist by Frank Clune. Bully Hayes was he was a blackbirder, bigamist, kind of, I wouldn't say privateer or pirate, but kind of roustabout guy who sailed around the South Pacific back in the day. And there was a pretty cool movie that was made with him as the main character, played by Tommy Lee Jones. I think it's called Savage Islands, but it's got another name in different markets as well. And I loved that movie when I was a kid. And it was shot in New Zealand. And I haven't seen it in a long time, but it probably hasn't stood up. But I loved that movie, and I love the idea of Bully Hayes. And it wasn't until much later that I found out he was a real guy. And there's a bunch of stories about him and what he did. And not all of it is good. No. Like a lot of white men in the South Pacific, he was a bit of a prick and did a lot of bad stuff. But he kind of cemented his place in the popular culture of the South Pacific. And this is a 1970s edition hardcover. 1970. It's a first edition. The dust cover is in pretty good nick, really, for a 50 53-year-old book. They had $10 on it. And I wasn't sure. And I took it. Oh no, the price sticker's taking off some of the cover. No! Damage forever. So I took it up to the lady at the front counter. I was just like, and she was like, oh, I was like, how much for that? She's like, $10. And I was like, $10, really? No, thanks. I'll leave that. I don't need it for 10. And then she was like, oh, how much do you think? And I was like, I don't know, 2. And then she was like, 3. And I was like, sold. $3 for a 53-year-old book, first edition, Captain Bully Hayes. I read a little bit of it on my road trip, but then I got, road tripping. Again from Cowra. This time at the, no, this is another one. What was it called? What was the town called? I'll have to come back to you. Anyway, another Vinnie's. Another Dimension, a Magic Eye 3D art book. Just because I got it because I was just like, I want my daughter to be able to do these things soon. And I loved these kind of books when I was a kid back in the 90s. Not that you can do it here, but hey, look at that. Mind vomit. Eye vomit. But yeah, I love these books. I got that for $2 from the Vinnie's. Where was it? God, I can't even remember. The same place I got this one. Robert Johnson, New Transcriptions. $8. I would pay a little bit more for proper tab books, proper music books, that kind of thing. Especially Robert Johnson. I've listened to a bunch of his stuff. I'm a fan. But I also know that to play this kind of stuff, I have to learn how to read music a bit better than I do. And play a bit more blues, which I don't. But yeah, I saw it and I was like, dude, $8? This kind of, you don't find this kind of stuff every day. So I got it. $8. You've never heard of Robert Johnson. He did, I think he recorded 30 songs in his lifetime. And then he got shot, and he's the basis for that whole deal with the devil at the crossroads kind of popular Southern American Gothic myth about the bluesman who sold his soul at the crossroads for guitar mastery. And he's the basis of that. So Robert Johnson, the movie Crossroads, Ralph Macchio, back in the 80s, explores that myth. Good movie. And I'm looking forward to exploring and learning from that book in the future. Again from the Vinnies in the Unnamed Town, The Fantastic World of Optical Illusions. Again, I got this for my daughter. It's just a great kind of, just full of optical illusions. If you want a place to go for optical illusions, this book by Illusion Works, Al Seckel, published by Carlton Books, is the way to go. It's a great book. It was published in 2004, this one, third printing. Originally published 2000. Got it for $5. I really hope my daughter likes that at some stage in her life. Who knows, maybe I'll get back into smoking pot and just stare at this for a couple of hours. I don't know. What could happen? Maybe I'll do it sober. Anyway, $5. I got that at the Vinnies in the Unnamed Town. Yes. Rock Connexions. This is an interesting little book that I got from the Vinnies in Springwood. $5. Probably overpaid a little bit for it, but it's in good condition. It is from, it's in very good condition actually. 2010, and apart from like having a bunch of like little biographies of popular artists and stuff like that, it also has these big kind of diagrams and stuff about what led to what, from where, rock to metal, blah 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 blah. Tons of that, heaps of like it's like a really readable reference book in terms of popular music. So it's got little references to, like, whenever it says the Beatles, go back to page 44. This one talks about it there, and it's got Rick Rubin, Lollapalooza, Atlantic record label, Pink Floyd, Velvet Underground, Island Records, David Bowie, Casablanca Records. It's by Bruno Macdonald, forward by Mick Rock. Cool book. yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. I've flipped through it a bunch of times since I got it, and yeah, very cool. Really speaks to my internet addled mind in terms of like not having too much information and being able to flip around and go crazy all over this book. Another one I got from my daughter, Vinny's, $3, Springwood. Festival in My Heart. Poems by Japanese children. It's got some cool artwork in it. It's got a lot of great artwork, actually. And poems written by kids in Japan. Let's read one, shall we? From Yokio Katsunori. Crayfish. He was in the 2nd grade. Crayfish have scissors. I have one. Sorry, I caught one. And it snapped the scissors at me. Snip, snip. It was angry. It curled its tail and swung it down behind. I wonder which is stronger, a crab or a crayfish. A crayfish with no claws would be interesting. It would look like a samurai. Yeah, I got this from my daughter mainly because it's got cool artwork, and I just wanted to like read poems by other kids. Like, you know, it's never too early to start anything like that. And, you know, yeah, and they sound awesome. Written by kids, 5, 6 years old. The Roger Evans Book of Folk Songs. Got this from the Vinnies down at Springwood. I'm a fan of these kind of old timey guitar books and stuff like that. It's got a bunch of stuff. I always like the intros as well, where the writer just kind of gives you their introduction into how to play guitar. Every one of them is the same but different, and I really like that about these kind of books. Yeah, they've all got a different way of explaining the same thing, which I really enjoy, because it just helps open up neural pathways, looking at things different from a different perspective. I'm a fan of YouTube stuff to a certain extent, but there's just so much stuff on YouTube. It's easy to get lost and confused. Like I find it better to have some books around, and you can kind of like limit the input to a certain extent. When is this from? Copyright 1972. What songs are in here? Alberta, Let Your Hair Hang Down. Careless Love. Greenland Fisheries. House of the Rising Sun. What kind of book like this wouldn't have House of the Rising Sun? Midnight Special. There's another classic. Love, It Is Teasing, and Love is Pleasing. 900 Miles. Salty Dog. Winter Is Gone. Yes. Cool book. I like the cover. Cover's really cool. It's in really good condition for a 51-year-old book. 52-year-old book. Something like that, yeah. 72. No, 51. Yeah. Roger Evans. These ones I got on the weekend at the Vinnies in Springwood. George R.R. Martin. Elio M. Garcia Jr. and Linda Antonossi. World of Ice and Fire. I've seen this around every once in a while. It came out in 2014. I'm a fan of Game of Thrones. I read the books, the first 3 anyway, back when I was at university, like 20 years ago. And then it was another good 10 years until they made the TV series. And he got up to the 5th book. Feast of Crows was good, readable. What was the other one? The one after that, I can't remember what it was called. The 5th book. God, help me out here, people. Anyway, I read that a couple of times. Dance of Dragons. I've read them all a couple of times, and then the TV series came out, and this was kind of published at the height of the TV series' quality, 2014, and then everyone knows it just suffered that decline, especially over those last 2 seasons. My God. Good Lord. As soon as they like outpaced the books, I was like, this is not going to end well. And it didn't. This is an awesome book. This is my new bathroom book. Everyone, don't be afraid of admitting you got a bathroom book. You just got to keep them clean, okay? Hygiene first. This has got heaps of cool, like, artwork. Goes right back into the history of, like, the wildlings, the first men, the children of the forest, and then into, like, the history of the 7 kingdoms and stuff like that. The only thing I find it's a bit lacking is it doesn't have a map of Essos and the kind of the lands east of Westeros. They came a couple of years after this book, so I like having maps around when I'm talking about different places. So I got to go jump on the phone and look up maps of Essos if I want to explore a bit deeper into that stuff. But it's a very cool book. A lot of dense information about that awesome world that George R.R. Martin created. Great artwork. This is really good condition for a almost 10-year-old book. I got it for $7. I was a bit miffed it was $7, but I was just like, you're not going to find this all the time. And in this condition, I'll pay $7. Yeah. Worth it, I think. And the last book I got this weekend, MC Escher. This is a great condition hardcover coffee table book with all the works, well, not all the works, but a lot of the works of MC Escher, who was an artist. And this was published back in 2006. Escher, I don't know if he got famous for the endless staircase kind of idea. His stuff on perception and that kind of thing. Heaps of cool prints of his stuff. So that, 3 spheres, 3 worlds, Dewdrop. Very cool book, very good condition for its age. I don't think anyone really read this much, just maybe just sat on a shelf for ages. And I just love having access to all his cool paintings. He was one of a kind, that MC Escher dude. Yeah, I got that for $4, which was okay for an art book. It's fine. You'd probably pay at least $30 brand new for that, if not more. Anyway, that's episode 21 of One Foot of Books. If it is not episode 21, I'm not going to go back and edit that out. This is episode 21, okay? Episode 21. Thanks everyone for watching. I'll be back soon. Maybe another week. See how it goes. See how my work schedule plays out. I hope everyone's had a good last month or so since I've been off. No matter what you've been doing, as long as you're not hurting anybody, it's all good. I hope everyone out there survived the school holidays, especially if you've got kids. If you don't have kids, school holidays are a bit meaningless, but if you have kids, they're chock full of meaning. And they're the places where you kind of make memories and suffer for those memories, because they do come. They do come. Maybe I should do a parenting podcast. Oh my God. I will be the last person to be a credible parenting podcast or YouTube. Not the last. I'm not a terrible father. God, I do fine. Episode 21. One Foot of Books. Thanks everyone. Have a great week. Bye.